Hey y'all! Today we're making Manjar Blanco for Pionono from Peru. Let's get started. We're going to start with two 12-ounce cans of evaporated milk, 1 cup of sugar, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, a stick of canela or cinnamon, and 1 to 2 cloves. I'm going to add all of my ingredients except the vanilla to a pot and bring it to a boil. Mix the sugar in really well so it doesn't clump and stick to the bottom. Make sure y'all have some comfy shoes or a chair because we'll be stirring for about 45 minutes total. Once it boils and you see it start to change color, go ahead and remove your cinnamon stick and 2 cloves. Their job is done. Reduce the heat down to a simmer. A few minutes later and it's already starting to thicken up. Keep stirring. You know you're done when you can start seeing the bottom of the pan when you scrape it. It's been about 45 minutes. I turned off the stove and now I'll mix in 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Once it cools completely, it'll thicken up real nice. While it's still warm, I'll use a strainer to make sure everything's nice and smooth. If you want to skip the step, it's no big deal, but I think it adds a little extra something. Look how smooth this is. Now let's make our pionono. Here's what we'll need: 6 room temperature eggs separated, a 1/3 cup of sugar, a teaspoon of vanilla, a 1/3 cup of flour, and some powdered sugar to finish it off. We'll start off by separating our eggs into different bowls. It's not the end of the world if one of the yolks breaks, but just do your best. With a mixer, beat all 6 egg whites until you form nice firm peaks. A couple minutes later and this is what it'll look like. Keep going, you're almost there. This is what you want your egg whites to look like. Now we'll add each egg yolk one by one and mix it in well. With your last egg yolk, add your 1/3 cup of sugar and blend it all together. Now you've got yourself a nice creamy looking batter. Add 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and I had just enough in the bottle. Blend it one last time and you're done with your mixer. Now we'll take our sifter and sift 1/3 cup of flour little by little, and then fold it into the batter. Pionono originated in Spain, but you can find it all over South America, the Caribbean, and the Philippines. I love that it crosses borders. Grab a baking sheet with some parchment paper and add your batter. I find that creasing the edges on the parchment paper helps it sit better in the pan. Spread everything as evenly as possible and bake at 350 for 10 to 12 minutes. Now that it's out of the oven, be really gentle pulling back the edges of the parchment paper. You don't want your pionono to start tearing. Grab another sheet of parchment paper and lay it on top. Then what you'll do is you'll flip everything so that you can peel the bottom layer off. Right here is where things went totally wrong, but it still turned out delicious. Let your pionono cool before you do this step. Don't put an extra layer of parchment until it's nice and cool. I'll show you in just a minute why. Very gently take off your bottom layer of parchment paper. Grab some powdered sugar and dust just a little bit on the inside of your pionono. Now it's time for that beautiful manjar blanco that we made earlier. Don't be shy, add a good amount. Then take a little spatula and smooth it out. You want a nice, even layer, as much as possible. This is more or less what you want it to look like. Don't be too concerned about the edges because we'll add a little bit after we roll it up. Take your time and be really gentle while you separate it from the parchment paper. This is where everything started to fall apart, literally. The parchment paper got stuck to the pionono because it wasn't cool enough when I put it on. So I'm just making the best of it, and I'm going to fold the parchment paper and roll it and take off little bits at a time to try and save as much of it as I can. Of course I was super bummed, but I just kept going because I knew that it was still going to taste good. Once you get to the end, squish it closed as much as you can without completely demolishing it, roll it up and put it in the fridge for about 5 or 10 minutes. Even though the pionono is a little thinner than it should be, it's still going to be awesome because it's made with cariño, or love. I'm adding some more manjar blanco on the sides so that you get a taste in every bite. Sift a little bit more powdered sugar all over the pionono, and then you can top it with strawberries, blueberries, blackberries, pecans, almonds, anything that you want. Today we're keeping it simple with strawberries because that's what we had in the fridge. Don't forget to subscribe so you can see which country's cuisine we're cooking next. I hope you enjoyed cooking with cariño.